Hi, this is Gina. Thank you for joining me for this Astrology Chat Live for March 7th, 2025. Today I want to focus on all of this activity along I'm calling it the Aries Pisces threshold. At first I was thinking of it as an axis, but axis it is really about the sign that's across. I was considering using the word gateway, but I feel like that can sort of sometimes be used in a different context. And really, it is kind of a threshold. Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's a really critical point, that move from the sign of Pisces to the sign of Aries. So I like thinking of it as a threshold. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Miss Tell. I'm so happy to see you. And I'm excited to talk about this Aries Pisces threshold and what it might mean. Please feel free to uh, leave any comments in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this later, and I'll get back to you later. And I'm just always so happy to see you, Miss Tell, and others who are here regularly, and just any and everyone supporting the channel. It's much appreciated. I've been doing these astrology chat lives every day in 2025, and it's really been a lot of fun. There are horoscopes on my channel as well if you'd like to check those out. Okay, so I prepared a little video here with some key points. So let's just go ahead and get to the first one. I will pause between and sort of discuss. So, of course, the Aries Pisces point, that threshold between the end of the zodiac and the beginning of the zodiac, is about endings and beginnings. But there's more to it than just that. And I want to talk about some of the other energies so you can sort of fully embrace the potential of this really dynamic time with so much happening in these signs. The North Node recently moved from Aries into Pisces. The North Node actually moves this way around the zodiac, the opposite of the other planets and points that we track. But this year there will be some other movement this way because Venus and Mercury, both now in Aries, will retrograde into Pisces and then come back around into Aries. So they'll be crossing this point multiple times. Also, Neptune and Saturn are shifting into Aries this year. Neptune shifts at the end of March and then returns in the fall to Pisces again, over and over that point. And Saturn goes into Aries in May. So and then the normal sun transits that you would expect when we move from Pisces into Aries. But it's all kind of happening at the same time. So there's just these amazing conjunctions. Like we had this incredible Neptune North Node Mercury conjunction at the very beginning of March that will basically repeat at the end of March because of the retrogrades. We'll have that same sort of triple conjunction. So just so much happening across this point. It's very, very activated. So Pisces is really about healing, and Aries is about authenticity and uniqueness and boldness. And I think especially with the Venus and Mercury retrograde going over this point, it's even more sort of activating those potentials because those are personal planets, and the fact that they're going over this point multiple times really encourages us to tap into the deepest, most healing aspects of these signatures, the highest aspects of them, to get rid of what doesn't work and tap into the best potential. And in Pisces, that can be healing. That's part of what endings are about. That's part of what letting go is about, is healing. And part of what beginnings are about is authenticity, showing up as who you are boldly and uniquely right now, authentically now. And sometimes when we're really in that place of true authenticity, it's always feeling like a beginning because that's changing and moving all the time. So I think that bringing in both of those signatures right now and really for the next couple of months, March, April, really into the early summer, but especially March and April, could be really helpful, and there's a lot of potential there that we shouldn't neglect. Okay, I did two by mistake, so we'll just talk about both of them. So merging and independence. Um, I think that there's something here that I want to mention, and it's got to do with Pluto in Aquarius as well. Pluto is newly in Aquarius. There's sort of this interesting energy right now where um, we're sort of a little bit more detached, but for the purpose of better connections. So what I mean by that is it complements this Pluto and Aquarius signature, which is such a humanitarian, really. So the energy is so caring about people and about the world in general. But then, on sort of a moment to moment basis, a little bit sort of emotionally detached from the people and the happenings that are right in front of them. But part of the reason and the purpose for that emotional detachment is because that energy is seeing the bigger picture. You're seeing the bigger picture, you're seeing a wider view, and understanding that emotions can cloud that judgment. Um, that in order to really move the needle, just a little bit of that sort of humanitarianism, along with a little bit of sort of emotional removal and distance, can help you really go the distance to make changes in the world the way that you might want to in your world and in the collective. And there's something here with this. Pluto is all about merging with others, not Pluto, excuse me, Pisces. Pisces is all about merging with things, merging with others, merging with the divine, merging with the universe, merging with multiple possibilities. It's very open, very loose. And then Aries is sort of quite independent and doesn't really want to have to stop to consider what everyone else wants all the time. Aries kind of just wants to go and get stuff started. And that's why sometimes the symbolism of the match for the sign of Aries is so appropriate, I feel like. Um, so we have this need for merging and this need for independence at this time. Energy is sort of swinging back and forth between those two things. So, how can we bring both in at the same time over these next few months? Also, I talked about cycles of completion and renewal. Again, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, Aries is the first, and it is a bit about endings and beginnings. You know, endings prepare us for new beginnings. Endings make space for new beginnings. And so I didn't want to leave that out. It is about more than that, but it's also about that. Let's move on to the next. I have 6 things here today. So here's the 4th. Yeah, it's spiritual and it's practical. We have that spirituality of Pisces, and then we have the practicality of Aries. So swinging back and forth between those two energies is so cool. And I think especially with the retrogrades, it's quite personal. And then because of Neptune, it's sort of quite profound. Neptune is a slow moving planet. Neptune has been in Pisces for well over a decade and hasn't crossed this point in well over 150 years. So this is a really, it's a big point in the zodiac because it's from Pisces to Aries. It's a big reset for Neptune. So we have those themes of spirituality with the sign of Pisces, especially with Neptune there. And we have these themes of the practical, especially with Aries, especially with the personal planets doing their retrograde thing there. So somehow it's like we need to be doing both at the same time, or at least alternating back and forth between the two. That's the interesting thing about these signatures. They're so different from each other, but they work so interestingly together. So sort of weaving back and forth between the two of them is a great way to practice. Wonderful to see you here, and thank you for taking a look at the channel as you just mentioned. Just looking at my chat here. Yeah, so you with January 16th, it would be interesting to know what your rising sign is. Just a quick mention to anyone listening, and I'll go back really quickly. Reading horoscopes for your rising sign. I have a video on my channel about that. And these days you can look up your chart. If you know your birth time, you can look it up so easily and learn your rising sign. But reading horoscopes for your rising sign is really the way to go. The sun sign that we all know about, that's about your personality. But when we're looking for timing and sort of life cycles and areas, that's where you really want to line it up with your rising sign. Okay, let's move on to our next point here about this Aries-Pisces axis. Just two more to go. Am I playing? Here we go. Yeah. Somehow we're being called right now to both lead and dream. I feel like this sort of goes with that spiritual and the practical, right? Aries is the leader, Pisces is the dreamer. So we're sort of back and forth between those two worlds. And there's something about that feels like such a positive potential in terms of manifesting what it is you really want, right? You're able to sort of go back into Pisces and have the dreams, and then go out into the world and lead with that Aries energy and make them happen. So this is a great time to dream big, to allow yourself to envision the highest potentials, to take good care of yourself so that you're bringing the best sort of energy and attitude to the things that you're doing, because we're just planting so many seeds right now. Aries rising at the 29th degree. I'm going to pause right now and talk to you about that. I see someone in the chat talking about my friend here, Miss Tell, talking about Aries rising at 29th degree. So yeah, reading charts for Aries rising is a good way to go. And the 29th degree is such an interesting point. I need to do more of a video about it, but we think of it as the critical degree. And sometimes it can have a little bit of a negative association because it can be a little bit heavy, but really the 29th degree is the mastery degree, where you're really mastering that signature. So in terms of leading, in terms of uniqueness, in terms of boldness, in terms of initiating things, starting things, being that match, that can spark the fire, that can start the fire. Those are some of the highest signatures of Aries. And Aries really in its highest signature too is leading in order to serve and to help. You know, it's not just there for itself. Aries is there for everyone. And in showing up so boldly and so uniquely and authentically, Aries energy shows others how to do the same. So I feel like that ties in very nicely with what we're talking about. Really not too much of a digression to talk about sort of those highest signatures of Aries, because that's what we want to be bringing in during this time, that kind of leadership energy. And then at the same time, bumping back over into Pisces and allowing for that dreaminess and not knowing exactly what's going to happen next. You know, allowing for a bit of surrender and going with the flow at the same time and dreaming big. Okay. And I just wanted to mention as well that there is a collective shift happening. We're talking a lot here about two specific areas of the chart, but there's so much movement in late 2024 through mid 2026 related to the outer planets. And that's more about the collective, meaning the world, the themes that are happening in our world. It's a real era shift right now. So to be having this activity in Pisces Aries at the same time as that big era shift, I just think that that's significant. So our world is shifting, we're shifting. Be, easy with yourself, be kind to yourself as you're going through that. Get some extra rest if you can, and definitely be tapping into some of these highest potentials for healing, for authenticity, for sort of showing up uniquely as yourself while also really allowing for merging with others and um, working on that more intuitive spiritual level as well as a practical one. Yes, I'm checking my comments here. Uh-huh. Yes, that's very nice. North Node in Pisces, 12th house. It really does. I like the way that those harmonize together for sure, Miss Dow. I think that it's interesting that you're having that nodal return to your North Node right now, to your 12th house, Pisces, and just such an active 12th house. Very spiritual time, very inward focused time. The time you're spending alone has the potential to be quite healing, especially when Venus goes into Pisces for that part of the cycle and when Mercury's there as well. Just thank you everyone so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will be back again tomorrow. Thank you so much.